Okay. Well, on behalf of the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation, welcome to our spring assembly. I think as many of you know, we've been hosting these assemblies following each fall and spring semesters, and if to give us an opportunity to engage, interact, share ideas, thoughts, celebrate accomplishments, and really reflect on where we've come in a fairly short period of time as a center. I think you've seen much of the communication and reporting that has come from the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation. And really, we've had spectacular growth on the part of members, which are faculty and staff by and large, but also incredible growth amongst our many, many partners, and then also our student members as well, vis-a-vis the aging student and disciplinary group. So really, you can see our agenda here today, talking about and reflecting on this past academic year, which again, very, very successful one on the part of CHI. We'll briefly discuss how we as a leadership team have addressed the fall assembly feedback. We found it very, very helpful. We certainly incorporated all of the feedback where we could, not just in our activities, but also in our overall way we approached our strategic plan. We'll then highlight the many scholarship recipients of the past academic year. Again, we've been very fortunate that CHI has now at its disposal a number of opportunities for students to obtain various types of scholarships to help advance their work in aging science and practice. And then we will turn it over to our more interactive aspects of the program. Really, what we see as a community partner member match exercise, where we've created breakout rooms representing each of our special interest groups that Dr. Tatiana Shippey will be describing a little bit more in detail, and starting to brainstorm ways we can engage members, community partners together effectively. Again, we see CHI not just as a center that sits within an academic institution, but one that's very much embedded through the community, that is enhanced through rich partnerships with our many community members. And we're hoping this interactive session at the end of the assembly today will allow us to further that particular objective. So next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm really briefly going to talk, provide an academic year overview of some of our main accomplishments. And I didn't want to really get too in depth on this. Again, you all have seen our annual report. We're going to be, our hope is to be disseminating an annual report at the beginning of each calendar year. And that report goes very much in depth into the various milestones that we've achieved, our activities, our initiatives, and really just a whole range of other strategies that the center has been engaged in. I think a major milestone that we did accomplish as a center that I did want to highlight, and all of you have access to this, we shared it with you multiple times, is our strategic plan. In August of 2021, we all, myself, the 3 associate directors, as well as our 2 center coordinators, basically had a very exciting meeting where we laid out the strategy for the center to guide our work for the next 5 years. This is a strategic plan, and this plan is hopefully going to be guiding our work moving forward. Now, the plan itself, I wouldn't call it a living, breathing document in that we're constantly updating it, refining it, and tinkering with it. But as the center grows, we likely will be adding on to our strategic plan accordingly. So, but again, I really encourage you to take a look at that. I think the strategic plan really emphasizes who we are as a center and what our goals and objectives are moving ahead and moving forward. And again, as of a few days ago, you get a sense of how much our center has grown. We have 133 members representing 61 program centers across the university, but also beyond the university. We have 94 community partners and ambassadors representing 62 organizations. And what I forgot to do, I apologize, we've actually been doing a much more rigorous job in tracking the number of members in our Aging Studies interdisciplinary group. Rajan, Kelly, off the top of your head, do you recall how many members we have in ASIG now? I want to say it's roughly 40, roughly active members, maybe more, but I forget. That sounds about right. Yeah, but that was one of our goals this past year. ASIG, at least when we relaunched the center, was essentially an email list. And what we wanted to do is get a much better sense of who are the active members of ASIG. So again, we can track coming and outgoing members more effectively. And, again, I feel like we've done that much better this past year too. Some new news that I wanted to share with all of you is the likelihood of our center expanding in terms of its core infrastructure. There's a lot of thought that we have to do before this happens, particularly in terms of our coordinating capacity. But that being said, it is very likely that our center might be expanding into 2 new cores. One is a policy core. We wanted to have a much stronger liaison function with several of the other bodies in Minnesota, particularly our community partners, such as the Minnesota Leadership Council on Aging, where we can have a much more active communication channel in terms of policy initiatives, legislative activities, and ways that CHI can be as supportive as possible in that work. So that is one core that we are potentially developing and may launch perhaps as soon as fall 2022. The second new core, and this is going to be done in partnership with the School of Nursing, is going to be called the Clinical Science and Practice Core. I remember I think our very first assembly, at least one person, maybe more, asked questions when we provided our initial overview of the core structure of CHI. Well, what a clinical practice core? And we took that to heart. And again, we have a formal agreement in place with the School of Nursing to jointly offer this clinical science and practice core. This would be something that would likely be launched as well in fall of 2022. But we have a tentative person identified to serve as the Associate Director of Clinical Science and Practice, and we're excited to potentially launch that core as well. So this just gives you a real brief overview and sense of kind of the fairly breathtaking growth of CHI and where we're heading as a truly collaborative center. Next slide, please. So in fall 2021, if you recall, many of you participated and provided us very robust feedback in terms of what each of our cores and overall as a center we should be emphasizing and focused on. So we didn't provide a ton of specifics here on this particular slide, and I don't think it was necessary really. My overall sense was this, in obtaining that feedback from fall of 2021, it was very helpful to us. It helped guide some of our newer activities and strategies moving ahead this past 12 months or so. Also, I think it was validating to us to some. Many of the ideas and suggestions that were provided to us and activities that you all felt we should be focused on, to me, in a way, we already were adopting and doing. So it became less of an issue of we should be doing more, or we should be doing something decidedly different than we're already doing, and more of an issue, I think, of effective communication on our part, communication to you as to here is what we're doing, and here are ways you can get engaged, and we're still on that, quite frankly. You have seen that we disseminate on a monthly basis our CHI check-in email newsletter. We're constantly refining that and trying to improve it. I think we all feel like right now it's kind of more of a laundry list of things that might slip by your radar. You may just delete it out of hand. I don't know. But what we're trying to do is continually make that a document that's much more helpful, and again, is more suggestive of the offer as a center. In terms of employment opportunities, activities, et cetera. I think all of you know, and if you don't know, hopefully you do, that the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation also has created a public events calendar. It's right on the main page, where we are basically collating all of the events related to aging, both locally and nationally, in one calendar. And we're doing that primarily to more effectively coordinate our activities so they don't necessarily overlap with other events. Now, that's really an impossibility a lot of the time, but we're still trying to do that. And we encourage you, if you know of certain events, certain meetings that are happening, is to use that calendar and put the events up there. So again, we can better communicate with each other and schedule events where we're not necessarily competing with each other. Another focus from the assembly feedback in the fall 2021 that we are taking to heart is identifying topics for our workshop series this year. If you recall, Dr. Rajan Moon actually took the lead in developing a professional workshop series that we offered for the first time this past academic year. We essentially decided to go with a workshop series because we felt it was more flexible and more aligned with the needs of people outside of the University of Minnesota related to education, professional development, continuing education, et cetera. If you recall, we used to have, or the old Center on Aging used to have what was called a Certificate of Aging Studies. In our estimation, that certificate was too expensive and too inflexible to meet what we felt were more dynamic needs of our community partners and many other external stakeholders. So Rajan put together a very exciting series of workshops. Hopefully some of you had a chance to attend them. And we're in the process now of identifying new topics for this upcoming year. One thing I will say about the professional workshop series, it's been interesting. The attendance at the series themselves maybe was not, it wasn't by no means bad or poor, maybe not quite as robust as we had initially anticipated. But the interesting thing that has happened is, particularly for several of the topics, such as ageism, is that organizations have begun contacting CHI, particularly Rajan, to give the workshop again for their own specific organization. So the reach of the workshop series actually is extended well beyond the actual events themselves, if that makes sense. So again, it seems to be a successful, robust model that we're going to continue. And we hope to hear from you if you have specific ideas of what you think would be a really helpful workshop topic for us to pursue that would be a benefit to you, maybe your organization's members, others you're working with in your community. We also celebrated Careers in Aging Week this past spring. We did it on campus in April, and we hope to offer more opportunities for students interested in aging research moving ahead. Again, our Aging Studies and Interdisciplinary Group, it's a very exciting group. It's very dynamic. It's very much student-led. And that's in part what I think it accounts for its success. And that was reflected in the Careers in Aging Week schedule we were able to put together. I know when I promoted that myself on social media, I got a lot of great feedback from people around the country. I'm very excited to see what we were offering throughout that week. And I hope we can continue doing that moving ahead. We can go to the next slide. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. We have been continuing to expand our reach on social media. I hope all of you are connected to us at the very least on Twitter. UMN Chai is our Twitter link. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn as well. I'll admit it, I'm not as active on Twitter. Actually, I'm not active on Twitter at all. I'm more so on LinkedIn, however. And again, we hope you utilize one or two of those social media channels and to connect with us. We're constantly looking for people to connect with ourselves and organizations to connect with, and vice versa. We hope you consider doing the same. And as part of our enhanced communication strategy, we're highlighting the work of one CHI member per month as part of a spotlight campaign. We'll do it on our website and then also in the CHI check-in newsletter and social media. We just started this month with Dr. Cindy Vang from the School of Social Work, who's doing some really exciting work in anti-racism and aging in various communities. And again, it was wonderful to highlight her work. And we're going to continue doing that, not just for members and faculty, but also for students and for community partners as well. So if you are interested in having your work highlighted or your organization's work highlighted, let us know. Again, we will definitely put you on the list. Okay, and then I think a final point, and we are always doing this when we meet regularly and monthly, is thinking through ways our cores can collaborate. The current three cores, which are equity and community engagement, education, and research, and finding ways we can collaborate, ways we can work together. I think a key issue always on our mind is one of sustainability and capacity. There are only so many of us to go around. And again, I feel like we have created a very robust set of activities, ways for people to get engaged, ways for people to lead various aspects of our center. But at the same time, we want to ensure that we don't become overextended and we can't deliver on what we promise. And I think that's going to continue to be something that we're going to pay attention to. And it's really, I think, one of the core goals in our strategic plan too. So next slide, please. Okay. We're going to pivot now to celebrating the many wonderful students that have been supported by CHI scholarships. Right now, we have two main scholarship opportunities, and there are many others aligned and affiliated with CHI that also offer scholarship opportunities and such, but we're focusing on this, on CHI's, the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation Scholarship Initiatives. The first, we were very, very excited to relaunch this past year. A big thank you to Rajan for kind of really serving as a key liaison with the Kordell family. Also with the School Public Health Development Office, Jess Koval, Mary Friedman, who were really instrumental in helping us reinitiate the Shelley Joseph-Kordell Memorial Scholarship. These are scholarships, very nice awards. I think it's roughly 10,000-ish, right? For each student, Rajan? I forget the dollar amount, right? It's around 10,000 that each student gets. And these are for students that really exhibit incredible promise and incredible passion around aging services, much like Shelley Joseph-Kordell herself did until her untimely passing. And so here are the four students that we named our first Memorial Scholarship, Shelley Joseph-Kordell Memorial Scholarship recipients. One thing I want to emphasize is we had an incredible applicant pool. I think we had roughly 30 to 40 students who applied from across the university. Very, very challenging to make decisions in this case. And these four were just superb. As you can see, we have Jeanette Romero Sands, Madeline Howard, Michelle Burning, and Heather Ferguson, all representing different disciplines and programs across the University of Minnesota. They're all really stars in their own right aging space. Many of them have taken leadership responsibilities in the Aging Studies Interdisciplinary Group, very active in coordinating initiatives, events. Really, I see already as superstars in aging and are moving in that direction. So again, just really thrilled to provide further support to these four students and excited to see where their career takes them. But again, just really wonderful. And we are planning to offer the Shelley Joseph-Kordell Memorial Scholarship each year. The call for applications will be going out in the fall. And again, we make our decisions roughly in December-ish, January for the early part of the calendar year. So again, I don't know, Rajan, if you wanted to share anything related to this process, given how integrally involved you were.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have this relationship with the Joseph-Kordell family and their support of students studying aging and people who are going into advocacy on behalf of older adults. So we're excited to relaunch this. And yeah, thanks, Joe.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And most importantly, to the Joseph-Kordell family. We've been engaged with them and they have great ideas for other ways we can continue to broaden the reach of this. And we are excited to work with them in the future. So next slide, please. The other organization we really want to thank is the Goodman Group. They've been very proactive in working with the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation to find ways to identify students with really promising ideas that they then can implement and really activate and adopt in their communities. And so the Goodman Group began the Goodman Group CHI Scholarship Program last year, where basically it's organized as a Shark Tank kind of thing. It's very, very cool, where a student or teams can come together and propose an idea on a topic that the group identifies that they would particular communities. I think this year was social isolation, and last year was a different topic. And really the students are basically encouraged to think outside the box. I mean, what would be a great, exciting initiative, a program that you would suggest that could really help overcome and engage, for example, residents in these communities? So what's wonderful about what the Goodman Group does is they offer each applicant $1,000, whether they win or not. So, I mean, that's really, really wonderful. And then for the winner, they have the opportunity to actually see their program enacted and to essentially craft further professional relationships with the Goodman Group. And this year's winner of the Goodman Group CHI Scholarship was Hannah Garrett. She's a doctorate of physical therapy student, and her presentation title is Jerryland, a fall risk education board game. So this year's topic was fall risk. My apologies. Last year was social isolation. And so she, Hannah came up with this really, really interesting, exciting idea that would be really likely very appealing to many residents, but taking a gaming idea and applying it to what we know is a critical issue in our communities, which is fear of falling, risk of falling, and the adverse events sometimes happen because of that. And so again, very innovative, unique idea, and a very, very worthy winner of this particular program as well. So again, we congratulate all of our students who are award winners. Again, many of them are active in the Aging Studies Interdisciplinary Group. And if you know of students you think would be good applicants for these programs, please connect them, not just with the scholarships, but with the Aging Studies Interdisciplinary Group itself, because that is, I think, the best vehicle towards not only these opportunities, but many, many other opportunities related to aging support for students here at the university. You'll notice one group of awards I'm not mentioning because it's kind of in a separate bucket are the Robert L. Kane scholarships, which will begin in the fall again. You'll notice several, at least one of the winners for the Tri scholarships also supported through that program too. So again, there's a lot of cross-pollination and opportunity in all this space. Thank you, Emma. Next slide. Okay. I believe we are running a little ahead of time. Or are we right on time, Alma?
We're ahead of time for sure.
Yeah, I kind of was worried about that, but that's not a bad thing, huh? Why don't we go ahead and, we can always adjourn early. There's nothing the matter with that. So why don't we go ahead and let's move to the second part of our program, if that sounds great.
Sure, I'm happy to pick up from here.
Let me do one thing quick, Tanya, since we are so far. I mean, we're like 25 minutes out of time, aren't we? My goodness. But can we actually, are we equipped to take questions or comments from the audience? That would be nice, instead of just us droning on and on. So why don't we do that? Anyone out there have questions, comments, issues, anything we can try to address before we pivot to the second part of our agenda here? Please feel free to use chat. You can speak too, I think, right?
So there was a great comment from Adam from the Leadership Council on Aging about their partnership with one of our students. I don't know, Adam, if you want to talk about your experience with one of our very active ASIG members.
Yeah, please do, Adam. I'd love to hear it.
I would just share really quickly that Jeanette has agreed to stay on as a policy coordinator for the Leadership Council through the end of this year to help us see that work through to fruition. So really excited about that, and really excited to be reaching out to Dean Botchway at the Humphrey School. I know there's a lot of MPAs out there along with me looking to help build that bridge on aging policy at the Humphrey School again, and working collaboratively with Chai on that work. So thanks for that opportunity and good work to come.
Yeah, thanks for doing that too, Adam. What's so exciting about this is, Adam has taken the lead of reaching out to the new dean in the Humphrey School to really talk about how Minnesota Leadership Council on Aging, Chai, and the Humphrey School can work together in the LC space. And the fact that Adam is taking the lead on that, I think, is even more exciting. And I think we'll be more successful in a way versus if it was like me going over there or something. The fact that this is coming. Oh, go ahead.
I'm doing that work in conjunction with Carrie Benson from the Minnesota Board on Aging and Sherry Pugh and Rena Shetty at the Age Friendly Council. So really good cross-sector collaboration. Lots of good work to come.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, and thank you for mentioning Chai in that meeting, or in the meeting to be anyway. We appreciate that very much. Great.
I think Teresa raised her hand.
Yeah, go ahead, Teresa.
Hi, Adam. I just wanted to raise my hand to you and say that on behalf of GWEP and also with my involvement with Chai, I'd love to connect with Dean, the new dean as well, and see what other connections we can make for all of us there. Yeah, so let's be in touch about that if I can jump in.
Yeah, absolutely, Teresa. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam.
Great. Were there other comments or thoughts from the audience here that you wanted to share before we go to the next part of our program?
Hi, Joe. This is Neha and team. Thank you for this wonderful detail. I'm part of Adam's team, and I was saying, and I'm part of Chai also. So, and I'm trying to build up membership for our team in Minnesota Diverse Elders Coalition. So it would be good if we do a lot of work in the background, but it's not shown to the members. So how can we do that to increase our membership? where we can see the support of this CHI group with Minnesota Diverse Elders, because then as an education piece, it can work better. So we would like to bring that in. I know you give scholarship and sponsorships to other places also. So if CHI can support MNDC and give some scholarship which shows, that will be great.
That's an
And
interesting,
something which can
Yeah.
show up. Yeah.
yeah, that's a really interesting idea. Robin, what do you think of that, given your leadership in the Diverse Elders Council? That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think that that could be a great opportunity for us to explore. Sneha and I've been, and Alana, Adam, many of us here have been working with the Diverse Elders Coalition, and the plan is to grow the membership, but also to look at ways in which we can help support the council. So I think sponsorships and potentially looking at a scholarship would be two great areas for us to consider so that they can continue their work.
Yeah, I think we'll put that on the agenda too and look
Yeah.
into it. And, you know, a big issue, and this is a very worthy topic. And I mean, this would obviously be something we prioritize. You know, one thing we are looking at as a center is our long-term model of sustainability in terms of becoming as sufficient as possible to support these kinds of initiatives as they come. You know, one thing with the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation, and this has caused confusion in the past, and I think I've mentioned this to many of you before, is, you know, the center was by and large supported by the Robert L. Kane Endowed Chair. And while it's still by and large, it still is primarily, we are working very hard to try to diversify its financial support and footing. And, you know, it's something that is just going to be an ongoing issue, but we're going to keep working on. Because when these things come up, I'd like us to be as flexible as possible. Say, you know what, Sanea, Adam, yes, let's do it. Let's talk about the scholarship. What are we talking about in amounts? How many, you know, that kind of thing. Whereas right now, we can't quite just jump right in, you know, so. But we take all this feedback seriously, and if we're able to, we will support it.
Thank you. Thank you for being open for the conversation. That's great.
Of course, of course. You know, and I think this has come up with us too, and you know, Robin, you can add on to this too, is we want to make sure, you know, we are building very vibrant engagement mechanisms in the center. We have a spectacular community advisory board that is up and running. It is robust. It is dynamic. We are going to start working this year on really an effective strategy to engage again in robust fashion our community partners. And, you know, Elma and Robin will be taking the lead on that in these next year or so. But at the same time, we also acknowledge that there are other entities out there in the community that we don't want to duplicate, and we're not going to duplicate. But again, one of the benefits of organizing the center this way is we feel like we have a pretty good sense of what is out there, so we can ensure that we're not just reinventing the wheel per se. Okay. Other thoughts or comments here? Other ideas? One thing I think would be helpful for us to know is if you do receive the CHI check-in email, number one, do you read it at all, or do you just delete it? Maybe we should use anonymous voting for this so people will be on it. And then number two, how do you think we can improve that? And that's something we've been looking at. You know, one thing that Kelly Mueller is going to be doing that we're very excited about is really developing a robust communication strategy for CHI. And so that is one thing we want to think about. I'm glad we started a CHI check-in. I mean, before we had nothing. So we started that, and, you know, it's become kind of, here are all the activities, here are all the events. Now it's looking better with a spotlight. And there might be other ways to make it more engaging, but primarily useful to you. Again, as I mentioned, one thing that struck me after the fall assembly feedback was it wasn't as if many of the ideas provided were necessarily things we weren't doing or were like big gaps. It was more like, you know, we are doing this or we are doing that. How can we get the message out better so people know we're doing it and that you can be engaged in it, if that makes sense? So, Okay. Great. Were there any other thoughts or comments here? Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead then and pivot to the second part of our meeting? Dr. Shippey, if you want to take it from here.
Sounds great. And we will be 15 minutes early, but I don't think anybody will mind ending 15 minutes early on this slightly chilly but beautiful sunny day. So hello, everybody. My name is Tatiana Shippey, and I'm an Associate Director of Research for CHAI. And when we think about different cores, and Joe described the important work that Robin is doing and Rajan in their course, the key goal of the research core really is to foster scholarly collaboration and partnerships, not just at the University of Minnesota, but across the U of M campuses and beyond. And this past academic year, one of our big initiatives was to launch what we call these SIGS, or special interest groups. We have 7 SIGs, and we'll show you those in a minute, and you'll be able to join 5 of those today. And what the SIGs are is really including individuals who have some sort of a shared interest. It could be in a topic, or it could be in a research method, with having a joint goal of fostering scholarly collaboration. Now, we've been meeting, 6 have been meeting, many of them for a year, and it's been really exciting and encouraging to see what members have been able to do. These SIGs are member-led, and so membership of each group determines what it is that is a key priority for them. Some of them have submitted grants together already. Some are working to identify shared areas of interest and maybe submit a conference presentation. Some are working on manuscripts. And all of those are important deliverables that should be agreed upon by members of the group. What's also really important about these SIGs is that they can help promote the importance of valuing different methods, different perspectives, and different disciplinary collaborations across, again, the U and beyond. And so what we are hoping, and next slide, please, Alma. What we were hoping you would find of interest today is a chance to actually visit and connect with 5 of the 7 SIGs that we have launched this year. These 5 SIGs include, first is the Equity in Long-Term Services and Supports, and Dr. Shekinah Fisher-Walters will facilitate the discussion for this SIG. The next one is Rural Aging. Dr. Carrie Henning-Smith will facilitate this one. LGBTQ Aging is a newer SIG, and Dr. Rajan Moon is leading it. AD, or Alzheimer's and related dementias special interest group, is led by Joe. He'll be facilitating the discussion. And finally, Aging and Chronic Disease Management SIG, which focuses on preserving heart health and brain health, will be led by Dr. Kamakshi Lakshmian, who I saw recently joined us. We also have Transportation and Finance SIGs, but these are smaller, and their leaders were not able to join us today. But what we are hoping you do is you use the first, so we have 40 minutes for this activity total. We encourage you to use the first 20 minutes to get to know each other, and this will be community partners as well as researchers. Each of the leaders of the SIG will facilitate the discussion on what are potential areas of interest for you. Maybe do you have projects you'd like to work on together? What are some areas of overlap? Often the U has different community focused grants, and sometimes, well, really for all of them, there is requirement of having a faculty connector. Well, these 6 could be one way to do that. 20 minutes in, you will see a message from Callie that if you want to, you don't have to, you can switch to and check out a different SIG. So in the 40 minutes of time, you will have a chance to check out up to 2 SIGs and connect with community partners as well as researchers on the topic that you identify. Is there anything else, Alma, you want to add before we put the list of the SIGs for folks to choose?
Just very, very well explained, Tatiana. Just to keep in mind that by the time you leave this session, maybe if you identify a project you want to work on, or just decide maybe how will you communicate moving forward, whether it might be an email, what might be some next steps to stay in touch. That would be the only thing.
And my dog is reacting to the mail person, but we will have a survey at the end of our meeting where you will have a chance to identify, did you make any meaningful connections in the SIG? And or if you're interested in transportation and finance SIGs and you couldn't visit them, we can connect you with their members after this meeting. So thank you, Alma.
Well, everyone, I hope you had a good session in the special interest groups. I know ours went very well in the Alzheimer's disease and related dementia special interest group. I was particularly enthused about, having a community partner presence in the group for today. Our particular community partner was Giving Voice and Eileen there. And what was exciting was the possible potential overlap between some of the research areas of interest of our special interest group members and the Giving Voice chorus, and how that could potentially evolve into something down the line. And I think one of the things we're going to be doing as special interest groups is thinking about how we can best integrate and involve community partners moving ahead. And out of our group actually came out some larger, broader ideas that, again, I think we're going to discuss as a leadership team. But with that, I think we're going to adjourn today. We wanted to give you back the gift of time. And we really appreciate you being here with us. And as always, being such a vibrant, important part of the Center for Healthy Aging and Innovation. Again, I have been taken aback actually at the growth of the center and what it's turned into and become. And I think that's a very exciting thing. And again, I can't wait to see what the future holds. So we all encourage you to stay connected with us. Again, if you'd like, email at us at any time. Very easy to remember, chai@umn.edu. Our website, where I think we really work hard at keeping all of our materials up to date. Kelly in particular does a wonderful job at keeping everything organized. But again, always check out our website to get a better sense of what's going on in research, education, and equity and community engagement. As I mentioned earlier, we also have very active Twitter and LinkedIn accounts. Please do have your organization or you personally follow us. We would very much appreciate it. We hope you all have a wonderful summer planned. Definitely be on the lookout from us. Chai will be continuing to work hard throughout the year. And as new ideas, new activities, new events come about, we'll make sure to inform you right away. With that, I think we'll adjourn, unless there was anything else we need to discuss. Elma, I think you want to talk about a link, an evaluation link or something.
Oh yeah, I plugged it into a chat. Take just a couple of minutes to tell us how we did with planning today's assembly, what went well and what we can do even better the next time. And I think Kelly will be emailing within a few days, a week, a follow-up email in which you will find actually a link to a brief poll about today's activity with the SIGS.
Yeah.
Specific questions.
You know, another thing we should poll people on, Elma, is would you, I think, gosh, I don't even know if I should say this. I think we might be in a position to actually hold this event in a hybrid fashion in the fall, where we actually could have people in person. Maybe we should get a sense from everybody. Would you prefer it to just stay on Zoom in its entirety, or would you prefer a hybrid event? I don't think at this point we'll ever go back to fully in person.
Yeah.
I think we'll always offer a hybrid option where possible, but we'd just like to hear from those who are attending. If there was an opportunity to join in person in addition to an online option, would you be excited or interested in that? I think that'd be helpful to find
Maybe
out.
by raising your hand now, even just to get like a pulse for it, would you be willing to say, as of today, at least with how much we know, would you be willing to attend in person one of our future events?
Yeah.
Good, I see one.
So that tells
And then I just had one more addition, Elma, if we can. I know we in some of the rooms I was in, we talked about linking with different organizations or being at different tables and synergies. And so we do have a link that's for projects, Elma. If we can just let them know about that on the website. And so you can start that or use that as one of the vehicles to connect with us.
It's interesting you brought that up, Robin. We talked about that too. Yeah, we talked about that too in our group. We were focusing more on the value proposition for faculty, but I did mention that, there's a link for community partners to fill out too. And I shared that with people in our group. I'm glad that came up too. So that's obviously.
Yeah. Yes. And I can put in the link in the chat.
Okay. And we'll send that out too. And I also just wanted to thank, we have several members of our community advisory board that have joined us today. And I just want to thank them for joining us.
Yeah, we so appreciate that and your help. And one of the ideas that came out of our SIG conversation, the Alzheimer's disease SIG, but I think it's something that would apply across the center. We'll develop this more and continue to get your feedback on it. some type of community partner oriented event where community partners or community members would essentially ask us, CHI, to provide a summary and update on a topic of interest, whether it's Alzheimer's treatment, it could be health equity in long-term care, whatever those might be. And we would then develop an approach to deliver that information in as user-friendly and accessible way as possible. Brief, short, maybe with a handout or some other resource that is really community facing. It's an initial idea, but it's something we'll talk through more. Maybe it won't, maybe it's not worthwhile. Maybe it is duplicative of other things that are going on out there, but a way to fully engage our community partners and to provide benefit to them and vice versa. And it doesn't just have to be topics related around research or CHI member given. We can also have topics where community partners themselves might be presenting on something of interest,
Yes.
innovation, a policy, I mean, whatever that might be. We'll think more about this over the summer and maybe further develop this for thought. So.
Great idea.
All right, well, I think we're all set here. I hope everyone has a wonderful summer, a summer of rest if possible, and well-being and health. And otherwise, just know we're always here to help. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. And we really just appreciate you being part of our center. So thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here.
Yes, take care now.
Thank you.